By 2004, THQ and Yuke's SmackDown series had been PlayStation's flagship wrestling franchise. After the smash hit that was Here Comes the Pain, THQ were eventually bound to run out of shit to call it. So THQ and Yuke's decided to do a rebrand in the form of SmackDown vs. Raw, a series completely focused on brand warfare. During the coming weeks, I will be reviewing every SmackDown vs. Raw game. At the time of recording this voiceover, the Royal Rumble is today. And that obviously starts the road to WrestleMania. The first SmackDown vs. Raw is revolutionary in a lot of ways. For one, it was the first game to have the side-facing camera, which is still in use today in today's 2K series. It was also the first WWE game to have a licensed soundtrack, to my knowledge. You got bands like Powerman 5000, Breaking Benjamin. Get out of here, dude. The original SmackDown vs. Raw still maintains the controls of the SmackDown series. This was before it would be changed to the joystick in 2007. SVR brings in some new additions in the form of these pre-match minigames. They aren't bad in any way, and I'm kinda glad they are here. In later entries, the series adds on to these pre-match minigames. There's also the introduction of the clean and dirty meter. This establishes who's the face and who's the heel. Faces raise their meter by doing high-flying moves and doing taunts, and the heels raise theirs by being overall dickheads. And if you don't really care, you can just select neutral. Game does feel silky smooth, which is always good to report for any video game. There's no real stiffness when playing the game. All of the match types you expect to be in a wrestling game in 2004 are here, from table matches, ladder matches, and the iconic Elimination Chamber. There is one match type I do kinda find weird, and that's the Hell in the Cell. It has some weird ass shit to it, like, for one, why are the weapons outside of the cage? Shouldn't they just be under the ring? And why is the cell too close to the ring? This is an issue that's in today's 2K series. There should be more space on the outside to wrestle, not have these little ass enclosed spaces. And also, how did I lose? I tapped out outside of the cell. When has that ever happened on WWE television? Another high spot of this game are the entrances. My favorite being Matt Hardy, just because I love they include the whole Matt facts and the whole old school glitch effect. It's really cool, but guys like Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle also have really great entrances. John Cena in this game has his basic thugonomics entrance, but he doesn't say anything. Why? Would it have just killed the dev team to record one basic line that could refer to everybody? A few complaints I have about SmackDown vs. Raw is the fact that there aren't any victory animations. It just ends and then there's the match menu. The chamber has a victory motion, and the cell does as well. So why doesn't just normal match types have a victory animation? One complaint this game is known for is its lacking roster size. Now, a lot of wrestlers were cut from the game. I made a whole video about the cut content for all the SmackDown vs. Raw games. If you want to go watch that after this, I'll put a link in the description. But some of the biggest wrestlers being cut from this game were Lita, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, and Goldberg. Now, I can easily imagine some wrestling fan in 2004 buying this game on release and being extremely disappointed.
Flashback.
No Lita, Austin, Goldberg, or Brock? Man, this game sucks. I'm going to play Here Comes the Pain. Once again, Season Mode returns, and it gets a giant revamp in the form of voice-acted cutscenes. Although, most of it isn't good at all.
Well, maybe if you'd stop distracting me while I'm in that ring, I wouldn't be losing so much.
Like, here, hearing The Undertaker say lines he would never say is very strange. Season Mode thankfully allows you to select whoever you want on the roster. I selected John Cena for this run, but for some reason your character is a mute for the entire game, which I'm not a big fan of, and it makes no sense because Cena has voice recorded lines when you pick other characters. But here you're totally mute. Season Mode sees you play through 1 year of the WWE and go through storylines and win championships. My first storyline involved me feuding with Renee Dupree over the managerial services of Tori Wilson. Of course, I super Cena that shit and win, and I unlock Tori as a manager, so you can select her for your matches. And after one storyline, I'm able to challenge for the world title, which is just hilarious. Cena walks into GM Kurt Angle's office and Hulk Hogan's his way to a title shot. JBL's the champ here. Of course I kick his ass, and right when I'm about to win, he calls for help and wins by DQ. Our big feud after weeks of beef ends in a giant steel cage, and after 5 minutes, Cena is your new champion. One thing I praise about the SVR games is that fact it has player-determined choices. Do you want to be a goody two-shoes babyface or a dick-headed heel? We never saw it in real life after 2003, but here, Cena's going full heel mode. If you care, I eventually will lose my title in an Elimination Chamber when The Undertaker tombstone me and pin me to eliminate me from the match. My season mode ended with a storyline involving Trish Stratus, and with what I'm about to tell you, just know I'm not joking. Eddie Guerrero and JBL go into Trish's bag and steal her bra and underwear, and Vince McMahon hangs them above the ring in a multi-team ladder match.
What the fuck were they thinking?
Normally I'd have this section of the video filled with some personal stories about the game, but I don't really have any. Now obviously I wasn't alive in 2004 playing this game when it released, but I wouldn't go ahead and play it till years later, and it was never really a game that I played heavily. I love the game, it's a great game, but I don't really have any personal stories with it. But I can certainly say that this game is definitely worth your time and attention. If you haven't played it yet, go play it, go emulate it, it's a good game. This is just part one of many. We're going to take a look at every SVR game leading up to this year's WrestleMania. So stay tuned in the coming weeks and months. Check your inbox for the next video. And yeah, I'll see you later. Peace. Last time on the channel, we took a look at 2004 SmackDown vs. Raw, a revolutionary game for WWE games as a whole. 1 year later, THQ and Ukes once again. Would they make a banger, or would sophomore syndrome hit? SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 will release on November 11th, 2005. Rather than just simply call it SmackDown vs. Raw 2, they decided to add on the 2006 to give the game a real sports feel for some reason. Starting the game and entering the match, it is clear that many changes have been made, and good changes at that. The entrances are now full length. In the previous SmackDown vs. Raw games, and even the other SmackDown games, entrances were like 15 seconds and they were fast as hell and took no time. Here, we got the superstars doing their authentic TV entrances and taking their time. The gameplay has also been redone. They add on to the pre-match minigames by letting you or the CPU select one of the 4 minigames manually. Also new to SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 is the stamina system. To be honest, I always turn this off. I have never been a fan of this game mechanic. It isn't a bad mechanic at all, I just prefer SVR without having to manage a stamina system. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 introduces brand new weight classes. All that it really means is that guys like Rey Mysterio are going to struggle to pick up guys like Triple H and John Cena. This game features an awesome sleeper hold mechanic that involves you choking out your opponent and the ref raising his or her arm 3 times. While recording gameplay for this video, I actually got caught in this and lost to Tajiri of all people. They did remove the ability to store multiple finishers, now you can only hold one at a time, but if you decide to be impatient and hit your finish right when the bar is flashing, you'll get an awesome cinematic cutscene where the screen will go black and white and the camera slows down as a reverb effect. It's really cool. Another fix from the original SVR is that victory motions are back, and it shouldn't have been removed in the first place. Honestly, I think that they just rushed it and that it got cut for development time, but I'm happy they're back here. Now, in terms of match types, we have 2 new to the SVR series. We have the Buried Alive match and Fulfill Your Fantasy. You know what a Buried Alive match is. Bury your opponent under 6 feet of dirt to win the match. Well, it makes its first appearance here in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and it's a very fun match type at that. It's based off the 2003 match between Undertaker and Vince McMahon at Survivor Series. Also, can you believe it's been 15 damn years since we've had a Buried Alive match? The second new match type to SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 is the Fulfill Your Fantasy match. Wow, this is something. I don't know if I should think this is the greatest thing ever or it's the worst thing ever. Like, I feel dirty just playing this match type. Let's move on before YouTube comes after this video. Now, one last thing before we move on to the season mode and the other new game modes. Finally, you can defend your titles on exhibition mode. I did a ladder match between Rey Mysterio and Paul London, and no joke, the match lasted about a minute.
Stick a fork in it, Cole. This match is done.
Another weird thing I noticed too is that the AI will no-sell finishers way too much. Why is Charlie Haas kicking out of 3 Batista bombs? I thought this was a WWE product, and not an AEW one. Launching the season mode once again presents us with selecting a wrestler on either the SmackDown or Raw side. I am happy to report that the voice acting has greatly improved here, and there's actual motion capture cutscenes this time. although some of the moves look like complete dog shit if I'm being honest. I chose Rey Mysterio for this mode, and upon launching the mode, I got the iconic Who Ran Over Teddy Long storyline. This game has some of the most iconic storylines in any season mode, ones like Eddie Guerrero stealing Undertaker's urn and RVD's ECW takeover. Speaking of ECW, the One Night Stand Arena is in this game, but I have zero clue how to unlock this legitimately. Can someone please let me know how to do it? But back to season mode, after months of storyline and not knowing who ran over down Teddy Long, the Royal Rumble is here and, oh, damn, I lost. Huh. Okay, that's cool, it gives me an immediate second chance, nice. Oh, damn, I lost again. Well, that's fine, I don't need the world title, I'll just go for the US title, it's fine, let me just exit real quick. Huh, it's odd, it's saving. That usually never happens.
Yo, you gotta be fucking kidding me! Fuck!
So, if you lose the Rumble match, the game just ends your season mode. Thank God for emulators, am I right? After winning the Rumble, it's here where Teddy Long returns and reveals that we were the ones who ran him down months ago. Wow, a Ray heel turn that we never got in real life? Now that's pretty cool. For the next few months, GM Teddy Long makes our life hell, so there's no chance we make it to Mania. Thankfully, Raw Champion Triple H has our back for some strange reason. This game will actually give you the challenge to face all challengers to stick it to Teddy Long, or jump ship to Raw and take the easy way out. Well, if I'm gonna be a heel, I'm gonna take the easy route, so I challenge Triple H at WrestleMania. And I beat him in under 8 minutes, and that's the season mode. Now, there's one more game mode that everybody has waited for me to get to, and that is the GM mode. For all you wannabe bookers out there, now is your chance to become Teddy Long or Eric Bischoff. Now look, I've never been the biggest fan of this game mode, but I understand why people adore it. It isn't even a bad game mode, it's just something that I've never paid attention to or really cared for. In between gameplay, there's your own personalized locker room that you can go and visit from time to time. It's very linear here, and it gets a very big upgrade in 2007, so just wait for that. Can we take a moment to acknowledge the attention to detail here? Like the Raw arenas accurately having the announce tables off to the side like they were in the 2000s, or Rey Mysterio having his double contacts that he used to wear. Very nice, Ukes. So last time I said that I didn't really have any personal stories. I actually have one for you. See, my first impression with this game, it was not a very good one. I had gotten a bundle of PS2 games from a local pawn shop, and SVR 2006 was one of them. At this point, I was only used to 2010 and 11, so it was a shock to me when I realized the joystick wasn't doing anything. I hated this game for a long time because I couldn't figure out how to play, and I didn't have a manual or a phone at that time. Luckily, eventually I learned how to play the game, and now it's one of my favorite wrestling games of all time. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 does exactly what sequels should, and it's very fun. It's got a great season mode. It should be played by at least every wrestling fan. Next time we're going to look at the fan favorite SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, which is arguably to some people the greatest wrestling game ever released.
We back in this bitch.
As the calendar would turn from 2005 into 2006, the WWE was in a bit of a weird space. 06 to me is one of the more underrated years of the company. It finally saw Edge, a guy who had many known as a tag team person, finally reach the main event, win his first world title, and get that big feud with Cena. Rey Mysterio would win the Royal Rumble and win the World Championship at Mania that year and have one of the worst booked runs in history. Kurt Angle would have some great matches on his way out of the company where he would leave for 11 years and arguably have a greater career in TNA. Why am I telling you this? Well, because we need an intro, and 2006 also saw the release of arguably to many people the best wrestling game ever made, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Now, I'm sure you'll notice in the title, I specifically put the PS2 version, and there's a reason for that. SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 was the first game to be released on 7th-gen platforms. Only 360 users got it though, as us PS3 kids were deemed unworthy. I own both versions of SVR 2007, and I had fully intended to review the 360 version, and then this happens. Now, thankfully this wasn't a 4 Red Ring of Death. I have a later model 360, so I unplugged it and it works just fine now. But it wasn't like I left the console on for hours on end. The fan just gets hot as soon as it gets cut on, so I didn't want to fight it. I'm just going to look at the PS2 version today. That's not a bad thing though, because they're both the same game, just the 360 version looks better and has the sweat shit. Jumping into the game, the biggest change up to this point in series history was the control overhaul. See, this was the first game to have the joystick controls. To walk, joystick. Execute moves, joystick. Is it terrible? No. It's manageable, but I feel like using circle to grapple will always be the superior control scheme. But one thing the joystick is really good for is the ultimate control moves. These are interactable moves that can be controlled by you, the player, manually. For example, say you get your opponent in the fireman's carry position. You can either hit them with the FU or an airplane spin, and many more moves. There's actual hotspots around the arena that you can use. There's even like these backstage areas that have hotspots and interactables. Like in the bar brawl, there's this cool finisher that is clearly meant for Stone Cold, but here's Cena stealing his gimmick. Also new to the SmackDown vs. Raw series is the crowd area. They showed it off in the original trailer, and it's a neat addition here, but it kind of does suck because it was only here for one more game. By the time that 2009 came out, it was gone. During my recording of this game, I would notice that the commentary would bug out, and they would just talk about things that were not happening on screen. Take a listen to this bizarre commentary bug.
I can't believe someone as out of it as Rob Van Dam could be featured as prominently as he is here in the WWE. I don't even think he knows where he is right now.
Van Dam might seem laid back, but don't ever mistake that for a lack of awareness or intensity.
A little further! He could win the Money in the Bank match right here!
I feel like the AI has been really improved here. I played a match between Bobby Lashley and Kurt Angle, and Lashley kept reversing my finish, and I kept doing the same. But sometimes the AI does like to turn pussy here. Like, I'm clearly trying to get the AI to come and fight me in the crowd area, and it just will not budge. I have to literally make the AI come fight me in the crowd. I forgot to mention, the crowd also has its own interactable hotspots for the ultimate control, and they work in a hardcore match's benefit, so that's another plus I forgot to mention. Also good to report is, up to this point, we do have the best soundtrack in the series, and I'll just play a couple songs here. Let me know what you think.
I'm James Bond in the octagon with two razors. Bet y'all didn't know I had a fake arm. I lost it while in war before rap. I was getting it on. Took a fat nigga out in like 40 seconds. My gun get hard with a 45 still erection. Brilliant taste so sweet. I'm not afraid anymore. Forgive me. The way I work so all the things they just take away from me. I got a bullet with a name on it. Bullet with a name. Everything that they say about me and everything that they make me. I'm rich, bitch. Okay, KK. G's up. Little scrap. I got money. Be a me. Money in the bank. See you, man. Money in the bank. Yeah.
SVR 2007 is chock full of little attention to details that are noticed here. Like, there are hints of the ECW brand in this game, but ECW becoming the third brand happened way too late in development for it to be, like, established. But the One Night Stand Arena is here, and I still can't figure out how to unlock it legitimately. Can someone please let me know how to do this? SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 also features a challenge mode that I've never really cared to indulge in, but this game has one challenge, and you know exactly what challenge I'm talking about. The iconic Beat the Great Khali while using Mickey James. Who came up with this? What psychopath thought this would be a good challenge? From what I know, it's possible, but you have to, like, cheat and shit like that. I've never done it because, again, I don't care about challenge mode, but I thought I had to mention it here. Now, jumping into this game's season mode, I selected Kurt Angle, who at the time of this game's release was actually the TNA World Champion. But this was the last game that Kurt Angle would appear in until 2017's 2K18 as a pre-order bonus. And he's broken in this game. 95 overall, destroys everybody. You can skip the majority of the matches in season mode, and unless the storyline calls for you to lose, you will win most of the time. Now, I won't mention every single storyline because then we'd be here for 35 minutes, but almost everyone is well done and well written, with some of my favorites being the one involving Candice Michelle and Edge. Candice Michelle is out here with a magic wand doing wild shit, turning Kurt Angle into a full-blown woman.
It's a magic wand, and the only thing that it's loaded with is magic.
Look, Wicked Witch of the West, keep that magic wand to yourself from now on.
What? Wicked Witch? That's it. You and me in the ring tonight.
What? You gotta be kidding me. I don't do bikini contests. What the?
I know. How about a singles match? I'll see you out there, girlfriend.
The big blow-off feud ends in a ladder match, and just look at this.
Are beating the hell out of each other, 15 feet in the air. This capacity crowd is making their opinions known tonight.
No surprise there, Cole. The WWE fans ain't exactly known for keeping their opinions to themselves.
He was one step ahead on that one.
The AI colluded against me, and I will not have it. There's one that involves Mr. Kennedy and Mark Henry that is just pure comedy gold.
The two men making their way to the ring because this will be the last time you see them in one piece. One of them is obviously too stubborn to quit, and the other one is too stupid to mind his own business. Either way, they're about to get an education from Mr. Kennedy.
There's an actual SmackDown vs. Raw storyline involving Booker T being a traitor and your character being caught in the crossfire. Speaking of SmackDown and Raw, this is the first time in a season mode that you can get traded from show to show, which is actually a really great improvement. It's random, it's not like I can just freely choose to go to SmackDown or Raw, but hey, this is a good improvement nonetheless, a good step in the right direction. Season mode has you walk around in your own personal locker room, but unlike 2006, this one is fully explorable, and here with full detailed customization. We had shit like this back in 2006, and it's got interior customization on the level of Saints Row 2's interior customization. Another improvement that's more of a nitpick if anything, is the fact that losing the Rumble doesn't end your season mode. I'm not going to stop complaining about it. It's a dumb decision. And I'm glad it's corrected here. On top of all the really good things that this game does, this is one of the few season modes, I believe, that actually lets you continue even after you beat it. Say you lose at WrestleMania. Okay, no big deal. The game doesn't end your season mode. You can continue playing and redo the storylines you lost or never experienced. Same character and everything, your experience won't reset. This is really cool. Yuke's made a really good decision here with this game's season mode, that's all I'll say. Of course, the general manager mode is back here again, and from what I've heard, this is the best version of it. I'm not a big GM mode fan, so I can't confirm or deny. Maybe I'll make a video of me actually trying it and learning how to play someday, but I've never been the biggest GM mode guy. This is gonna suck to say, but I've spent more time with the 2K version of GM mode that is okay at best. I was just never good at it. So, to answer the question, is SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 the greatest game of all time? To this point in the SmackDown series, yeah, I would think so. Do I think it's the best game in the SmackDown vs. Raw series? No, I don't. I think it's second best behind another game that we'll talk about later that I cannot wait to get to. But if I sat here and said this game doesn't deserve its reputation, that would be pure blasphemy.
That is blasphemous! That is blasphemous!
I enjoyed my time with SVR 07, and so far, it's the best game. Now, even though I'm a believer that graphics aren't everything, I still would recommend the 360 version, and at the time of the recording, the online servers are still up, so go play online with your friends if you can, for old time's sake. Next time, we will be leaving the PlayStation 2 and taking a look at SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 on the PlayStation 3. Would it improve on 2007, or would it be a flop? Find out next time. November of 2007 saw the release of SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. Coming off what many people say is the greatest game in the series, would it improve upon the greatness of 2007, or would it flop in a way? Let's find out in today's review. Booting up the game, Yuke's is already hitting us with the new features. This being the fighting style system. It's a neat inclusion that works to the wrestler's benefit. Guys like Batista and Bobby Lashley are going to be Haas powerhouses that just pick you up and slam you whenever they feel like it. While guys like Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy are obviously going to be the high flyers doing the springboard moves and the crazy shit. Getting into the menus, we're greeted by, honestly, a soundtrack that I think is better than 2007. Probably a hot take, but I'll play a couple songs real quick. I think it's slightly better in my opinion.
South niggas, stand up. Weak niggas, man up. Fuck these niggas that don't show us no love. South niggas, stand up. Weak niggas, man up. Fuck these niggas that don't show us no love. Deep in the recess of every man is a thief, a robber, a criminal. Below the surface of every hero's an envy, a restless evil. I just wanna be famous, be so fucking jaded, 'cause all I play my bodies take my money from me. Show up at the Oscars, smoke out dinners happen, but money is for nothing and the chicks are for free. Yeah, I wanna be. You can sleep all day and still get paid when the sun goes down. We'll do it all over again. Go hard and go home if you thought.
Going through the game's roster, it's a mixed bag at best. We get the video game debuts of a lot of superstars here. CM Punk, Crime Time, Kenny Dykstra, Sabu, The Sandman, Terry Funk, Marcus Corvon, aka Monty Brown, and MVP all make their WWE game debuts. We also see the return of my all-time favorite wrestler, Jeff Hardy, who makes his first video game appearance since 2002's SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. If I was old enough to play this game in 2007, I definitely would have marked out for it. Sadly, though, when this game came out, I was like 2 months old, so wasn't playing it in 2007. But I do have a small nitpick about the roster. A lot of the wrestlers have reused models from 2007, and some are just outdated. Like Randy Orton still having his Legend Killer appearance, despite when this game released, he was the current WWE champion and was feuding with Shawn Michaels. This isn't a negative on the game, it's just me being a wrestling nerd and knowing shit, so yeah. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. It's so slow. Alright, comedic effect aside, it's not as slow as people make it out to be. Do I prefer the faster pace of 2006 and 7? Yes, but OA isn't downright terrible because of its slowdown gameplay. Entrances have this weird first-person effect that I honestly activated by complete accident, and I think it kind of sucks, honestly. It just looks like someone filming the entrance ramp and having a muscle spasm. It's not really a good inclusion to me. Something that doesn't suck, however, is the fact that you can spin the WWE title manually. This is a fantastic feature, by the way. This is only really something that makes me and me alone happy, but it's my review, so I'm going to mention it. Thankfully, PlayStation 3 kids were deemed worthy by the wrestling gods to get an SVR title. Visually, it looks really good, but I'd argue that 2007 on the 360 still looks better. Hell, I think 2007 on the 360 looks good today. One thing you will notice in the gameplay is that you can no longer store finishers. Instead, you store your fighting style. Yay? It does kind of blow because now you have to hit your finisher as quick as possible. And with other factors involved, it's just not really a great idea in my opinion. Always let us store our finishers when the time is right. Now, attention to detail in any game is important, and like the other SVR games, it's here. Rather than having to maintain a stamina system, which thank God, wrestlers will visibly get tired as the match progresses, meaning like you'll try to pick up a weapon and you'll run and they'll drop it because they're tired, or they'll just visibly be, tired and sweating. It's a nice attention to detail, but it does get annoying because it makes you move slower than the Big Show on the way to the ring. We only have one new match type this time around, and it's the ECW Extreme Rules match. Probably one of the few good things to come out of the ECW reboot was a match type in a video game. It's very fun, and it allows for the crazy spots that we've become accustomed to by this point, especially with the guys that have hardcore as their fighting style. This is the only wrestling game, to my knowledge, that will let Sabu do the triple jump moonsault. And if you don't know what that looks like, I'll show it right real quick.
Sabu has got to be thinking to himself, what the hell do I have to do to put away La Parka? How about the triple jump moonsault? Will that get it done? Yes!
In terms of the game mode, season mode is gone and it's never coming back. In its place is 24/7 mode, and it's okay. Don't get me wrong, there are some really cool storylines here, like you versus the entire ECW roster. And when I was seeing this reminded me of that short little mini feud that Cena had with ECW, like the brand itself. There's also a feud against you against the entire McMahon family, so Austin versus McMahon's. Okay, we're kind of recycling storylines here, Ukes, but you know, it's whatever. And then there's a feud with Roddy Piper over a WWE Films contract. Wow, this game really dates itself with that storyline. I chose Jeff Hardy because, of course I did. And while Jeff is my favorite wrestler of all time, he does not do a good job voice acting in this game.
But thanks to the effusive praise of ECW's representative, I've decided to give myself and WWE fans an early Christmas present this year and induct myself into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Damn, I never thought I'd see ECW join Vince McMahon's special club on live TV.
Say the word, Mr. McMahon, and this chump is no more.
Man, I think you put your head way too far up a certain butt. Go ahead and send your boys. I need the warm-up.
One thing I do like 24/7 mode is the fact that during like the main event or the pay-per-view matches, it will show like a little hype package like the real WWE does for their big events, which is really cool. Unfortunately, it's the same theme song. It's just the Raw theme song the entire time. It's the Papa Roach one, which, not bad, but across the nation will always be Raw's best theme. Don't comment. So, I did one full year of 24/7 mode, and I decided to go to SmackDown, thinking, you know what, I'm sure there's some SmackDown exclusive storylines. There isn't. It's just the exact same storylines. They just reset with different people thrown in. Why? Why were you so lazy this go around? I don't understand. This is the reason why I've never really completed 24/7 mode 100%. It's what made the prior season modes fun. You could go through an entire playthrough and not get certain storylines. It added replayability. But here, there's like maybe 10 storylines minimum. Oh, and GM mode is tied to your 24/7 mode, so if you want to do a GM mode, you have to delete your superstar save. That's stupid. I'm not a big GM mode guy, you know that if you've seen the other reviews, but would it kill them to make them separate save files? It worked on the PS2, guys, come on. This is also the last game that has GM mode until 2022's 2K22. Which I have more experience with than the old school GM mode, and I think the new GM mode in the 2K games are mediocre at best. Replacing the challenge mode is the Hall of Fame mode. This is one of the first times that a game mode focused on iconic matches of the past, if I can remember correctly. It's okay, it's just recreate famous matches like Shawn versus Brett, or Rock versus Austin, and you get little bonuses and you unlock them in the game. It's cool, I guess. SVR 2008 isn't an entirely terrible game, but does it follow up on 2007? Hell nah, son! It's not terrible though. Some people say it ruined the series, and I don't really agree. I think that's just kind of bullshit. It's a fun game, but it's not better than 2007 or 6 in my opinion. Next time on the channel, we will be taking a look at 2008 SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. I'll see you in the next video. Peace, I'm out. The last time we looked at SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, which to many people is a bad game, but to me is actually a pretty solid game. It just has a lot of flaws and didn't improve on 06 or 07. But today we will take a look at 2009, released in late 08. Thankfully, it does improve on a lot of the mistakes that 2008 made. And it does add some new things that, for better, actually freshen up the franchise. Jumping into the game, it is clear that one thing has already been fixed, and that is the gameplay speed. I personally never thought 08 was that slow, but it wasn't that enough to make it unbearable. But I can still appreciate that it isn't Here Comes the Pain fast, but it's fast enough to work as a game. Now, the roster, I'd argue, is actually better than 08, minus one small mistake that the devs made that I will talk about in a second. SVR 2008 features the best and the worst of 2008. We get the video game debuts of Santino Marella, The Miz, Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Wang Yang, Jesse, Festus, future WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, Beth Phoenix, Brian Kendrick, and finally Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. The roster is solid, but it's lacking in the Legends department, with there only being two here, and that's Taz and that's Ric Flair. Now, the reason being why Yuke's decided to scrap Legends was because they had a game plan for the Mania season of 2009 called Legends of WrestleMania, which I will not be reviewing anytime soon. I haven't played the game in years, and I always thought it was boring as shit, but I'd actually like to review it someday now that I know the reason why it was made the way it was. Now, there are a lot more tag teams on the roster, and that's due to this game's marketing featuring having to focus on tag team wrestling. New to SVR 2009 are the tag finishers and the hot tag feature, and it's okay. I don't think it's as all that they claim it to be, but still a good step in the right direction nonetheless. But also, I didn't really play any tag matches in this game, so maybe just my mistake. Jumping in and playing the first match, you will notice one of two things. One, fighting styles from 2008 have been removed, and you can now store your signature move. Before, wrestlers' signatures were just in their moveset, like The Rock's Spinebuster or Cena's 5-Knuckle Shuffle. But now they're their own dedicated slot. Still wish we could store our finishers, but I mean, what can you do? This is also the last game to feature intergender matches until the at the time about to release 2K25. See, this game was the last to release in the Ruthless Aggression era and technically the first PG era game. Yes, sadly we were entering the dark ages. Soundtrack wise, it's really good. This is the first game to have the actual wrestlers' themes as part of the soundtrack as well, but for the sake of the video, I'll just be showing some songs from the licensed soundtrack.
Come inside and be afraid of this impressive mess I've made. If you take a look now, you will find I ain't thrown away my vice, done away with paradise. See what's going on inside my mind. I've had enough. I'm taking you down, taking you down. I've had enough. I'm taking you down, taking you down.
It's war and peace is more than beef. Must uphold the code we swore to keep. It's life and death, it's blood and sweat. We fight for love and respect. It's man to man, it's hand to hand. You make your fist, you take your stand. Prepared to throw down whenever it go down. Under pressure, don't fold, man, hold your ground. You got your pride and I got mine. It's all out war when you cross that line. I'm from LA, I grew up fighting. After school, no rules, clash of the tight.
How many times have they broken every piece of your fragile pride?
This game has a career mode that is kind of just boring as hell. You just go out and wrestle, and that's kind of it. It's very boring in my opinion. Now, on to the meat and the bones of this game, which is known as Road to WrestleMania. Road to WrestleMania is a condensed season mode that sees one of 5 stories based on 6 superstars. The first one I did was Chris Jericho. This was the Y2J's first game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and you can tell they put a lot of stock into a storyline. It follows Jericho working to get a title shot, and after a match, a code plays on the screen that is mocking Jericho's at-the-time gimmick of codes and Save Us Y2J. If you were watching WWE back in 2008, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jericho confronts Finlay, who he assumes is behind it, and it turns out it's not him. At the Rumble vs. Cena, a masked man runs in and causes the DQ finish. Jericho investigates almost everybody on the roster. Jericho finally catches the masked man, and it turns out to be Randy Orton, which was kind of obvious in my opinion, but it's fine. Orton beats Cena for the title, and Jericho wins it back at Mania. Next, I chose The Undertaker's Road to WrestleMania, and I can't lie, this storyline is wacky and stupid in a good way. First off, it has Taker feud with Santino Marella and Finlay. Huh? The two most, hey, I'm just here on the roster guys at the time. Taker obviously destroys them for weeks, and they keep teasing someone called The Man, who is revealed to be the Boogeyman, and I was actually kind of hyped about this. Don't get me wrong, the Boogeyman wasn't that scary, but the promos between him and Taker could have been amazing in my opinion. Maybe that's just me. Later, Santino and The Undertaker have a ladder match for the urn, and after pulling it down, The Undertaker turns Santino into a literal zombie. What is this, ECW 06? Anyway, the Boogeyman kills Santino and then does the JOB at Mania and to Taker in a Hell in a Cell match. Next was Triple H, and it's your typical, I am the game, I am the diamond of the industry storyline, until SmackDown vs. Raw 08 gives you the option to either choose to reform DX or Evolution. Up to this point, I had always chosen DX, so for the first time, I chose Evolution, so sorry Sean, it's 2002 all over again. And it lasts all of 2 weeks. Great. Reforming Evolution feels like a waste of time because Triple H just uses Orton to get a title shot, which he wins anyway. In the comments, let me know, what did you choose when you first played this game? DX or Evolution? Have the GOAT, Mr. Fruity Pebbles himself, John Cena. It's actually my favorite storyline in the game. See, after defeating MVP at Tribute to the Troops, MVP's like, you know what? I hate the US, I'm gone. And then this guy forms his own country called Better Than Utopia, and he runs roughshod with his cabinet William Regal and Umaga. MVP really got the biggest push of his career in a video game. He also makes Cena compete in what is called Better Than Utopia rules.
Rule number 1. I need a 5 count to pin a Utopian. But you guys just need a 3 count on me. Where am I, King Kong Bundy? Rule 2, amid the ipsos and factos, says I can't use rope breaks. But you can. That's very clever. Rule number 3, I think says, Utopians can leave the ring at will. But I'll be counted out. Anything else? Nothing about tying my hands behind my back?
Well, there is one more bit of fine print.
What does it say?
All's fair in love and war.
So Cena goes super mode and destroys Umaga and Regal, and finally it's time for MVP vs. Cena. And the ending to this Road to WrestleMania sucks ass. It's an Iron Man match, which, bleh, but it's also a shoot 15 minutes. Awesome. That's really cool, actually. Like, why, man? Why's it gotta be shoot 15 minutes? I didn't like this ending. That's just me personally, though. If you liked it, good on you. Anyway, moving on. The resident third brand, WWE ECW, gets some representation with this CM Punk storyline, and it's actually really well done. It's Punk going for the ECW title, and after defeating Dreamer, ECW tries to ban extreme matches, and it's Punk and Dreamer trying to fight back and keep what made ECW intact, even though by this point Vince had already killed it, made it intact. It's actually a cool storyline, though, because it sees Taz be a heel commentator a few years before TNA did it, and it actually sees him compete in the ring, and Taz playable in any video game to me? Solid game. Finally, we have the co-op mode, Rey Mysterio and Batista. You can also play solo. I chose Rey Mysterio. but it's your standard tag team storyline that actually ends with them competing with each other at Mania for the title. There's also a little few with Edge right in there, which is really cool. There was this funny moment where it's no DQ, so you can help Batista win the world title, and no joke, Edge kicked out of like 7 Batista bombs. I'm not joking. He really got that Hulk Hogan booking. Road to WrestleMania is a very good mode, and besides season mode, it's the best story-based mode in any WWE game series, to my opinion. 09, not a bad game. Solid improvement over 2008. But up to this point, 07 is still the best game. Now, next up, we're going to go and play SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, which is a game that I believe was the very first wrestling game I ever played. So, I have some stories to tell about that. But anyway, I digress. I'll see you in the next video. Peace. SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 is a game that I have a special connection with. Not only was it the first wrestling game I ever played, but one of the first video games I ever played in general. Last time I reviewed SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, and today we have the last WWE game of the 2000s, SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. SVR 2010 continues the tradition of adding something new to the game each year. When I booted up the game, the first thing I did was go into Superstar Threads. This allows you to customize wrestlers, so now you don't have to use the same Rey Mysterio attire all year long. It isn't like today where you can add logos and have up to 100 creative parts in the suite. It's just changing colors of the wrestlers, but it's very appreciated here. The main menu is also redesigned well too. When you start up the game, you're booted into a training facility that's modeled exactly after FCW, WWE's at the time developmental system. Hitting the pause buttons will actually brings up your match options. And when you select your match, there's only one new one here, the Championship Scramble. Now, it's essentially a dumbed down version of the Iron Survivor match seen today. It was only seen 3 times on one show, Unforgiven 2008. In the match I recorded, it ended in a complete draw with 0 falls in the entire match, so that was kind of fun, but I would not mind seeing this match type come back in a future 2K title. In the roster department, making their video game debuts are Jack Swagger, Gail Kim, Dolph Ziggler, The Bellas, R-Truth. I know he appeared in Raw as K-Quick, but this is his debut as R-Truth. Mike Knox, Natalia, and Maurice. Now, starting out my first match playing this game for the first time in years, I was excited to get back into this game, because it was a game that I really loved to play. And when I played my first match in a while, I couldn't help but think, oh, this isn't as good as I remember. It feels kind of clunky and slow at times. I have heard that the 360 version does run better than the PS3 version. I don't know how true that is. If you want to confirm in the comments, please do, but maybe it's just my PS3 issue. I'm not burying this game by any means. I still think it's a good-ass game, but I guess I was just blinded by nostalgia in a way. But I stuck through it, I played a few more matches, and I eventually got used to it again. And I'm glad I did, because this game actually is a good time. We finally get new camera angles where the more impact moves you hit, the camera will shift and turn, and eventually we will get that classic SmackDown camera. There's also just small attention to details in the presentation overall, like flashbulbs going on when you hit your finisher. The Royal Rumble has been revamped with an all-new minigame that has you tap the buttons rapidly or correctly time a minibar. This new Rumble is fun, but if you want to just cheese it, just cheese the corner elimination. Sadly though, I did get eliminated, but it is what it is. And here's a fun fact, the cutscene that plays in the current 2K games when it's down to the final 2, debuted in this game. They haven't changed it in 16 years. The AI has been improved as well. They are more likely to kick out of finishers and reverse more often. Road to WrestleMania has been brought back, and the storylines here are better than 09, I'd argue. The first one I selected was Randy Orton. Prime Psycho Orton is here. He wins the World Heavyweight title and then defends it against The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, and then throws him off of it. At the same time, Dissension Legacy starts to happen. The cracks in the foundation start to show. Cody asks Randy to ref a match between him and future inmate Ted Jr. During the match, though, Legacy turns on Randy. And after that, it was at that moment that Legacy knew they f***ed up. Randy crashes out. He RKO's his dad, RKO's Dusty, and Ted Sr. The game eventually will let you choose who to take hostage. 2009 Randy Orton was about that life, and at Mania, it ends in a legacy triple threat. This happened a few months before it happened in real life, so either the WWE writing team had stole this, or it was already talked about and Ukes just happened to do it first. Next up, we have the co-op story of John Cena and Triple H. This storyline is way too damn long, by the way. Both recording files are about an hour and 30 minutes long. Holy shit. It starts with the whole, oh, can we coexist? And then it turns into an ECW takeover. Big Show, the man with more face and heel turns than I have subscribers, pulls up to Cena's locker room and GG's Cena gets clapped. And then he destroys the championship. Triple H isn't safe either, he gets clapped. So Cena and Hunter pull up to ECW and clap the entire roster in response. And they vandalize the ring. This was as close as we got to a Cena heel turn until this past Saturday.
Just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Mania comes, and of course, it's another Iron Man match. Did Cena just watch 90s HBK? Like, what's with the Iron Man match back years? Oh, and by the way, lol, Cena wins. HBK storyline is just him feuding with JBL. And that was just it. To me, it was pretty boring, so we're just gonna gloss over it. The Mickie James storyline, however, isn't boring. It's like a role reversal of how Mickie debuted with Natalya being an obsessive fan of Mickie James, and it's all cute and she's okay with it until it becomes borderline psychotic. And it ends with a match at Mania. And I don't know what the hell Ukes were on, but Natalya becomes some sort of technical goddess here. This match took me like 2 tries to complete. But hey, eventually I got it done. But what's really cool about the storyline is the fact that this has an all-female Rumble in it. And this would not happen in real life for another 8 years. So this game actually predicted the Women's Rumble in a way. Well, the first time ever, we got our own creative character storyline. This is the perfect segue, actually, to go into the new gimmick for SVR 2010. It was the overhauled Creation Suite. The paint tool debuted here, and it's a suite that allows for whatever you can imagine. I didn't record anything paint tool related for 2010, but I did for 2011, and I'll have more thoughts on it then. But we really do take for granted just having the ability to download logos off the community creations. People back in the day were gods with this. Like, I can't imagine making this on the paint tool. Speaking of community creations, it also made its debut in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. It's very basic and bare bones compared to today, but it was the debut of something that we rely on. The Creation Suite itself is nice, with well over 100 different layers of trunks, tights, etc. And here's me at SVR 2010. The Call storyline starts with UC in the front row watching Santino defend the Intercontinental title. Santino insults the crowd and goads you into coming into the ring. You jump the barricade, kick his ass, and you win the title. The same way that Santino debuted. Vince is upset because we aren't on a contract, and we are the active champion. So Vince does everything he can to stop us. He gets Kozlov and Ezekiel Jackson to jump us. Nah, I grew up watching Super Cena. Let's just destroy them both. Finally, Vince has enough and says if we can win the Rumble, we will get our contract. And the game actually does let you do the whole Tumblr gimmick. Sadly, I got number 4. But it's okay, I had that Hulk Hogan booking and dumped everybody. After winning the Rumble, Vince does this whole deal where he's like, hey, you need to have your own finish, so you make your own custom finisher. Now, looking back at this is funny. See, in all the other stories, if you have custom attires, you can change them because of the Superstar threads, but because this is your created character, you can customize the character. So, I went to go change my attire for the visual sake of the video, and I see this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I'm assuming this is a joke on how WWE was known to give people ridiculous gimmicks and looks and change what was already established, but this neon looking shit is bad, I'm sorry. And it gets goofier. Before the chamber, Santino replaces your gear with a chicken suit. No, I'm not kidding. Finally, our character has had enough and challenges Vince to a match at Mania. It goes down, and of course I beat Vince, but no, the chicanery continues. Vince makes it a first blood match, and I beat him with one chair shot. that's okay, Vince sticks his goons on us and we make him bleed and kick their asses. And finally, I put Vince to a table. Finn. There is a second ending where you do make Vince do the chicken dance, but sadly I did not get this ending. Finally, we get my favorite storyline in the game. The Edge Road to WrestleMania. This is prime Edge, sleazy getting with the GM Edge. Mr. Kennedy actually gets the biggest push here with him being the WWE Champion in the storyline. Edge wins the match and convinces Vince to let Maria of all people be the GM of SmackDown. And he manipulates her into doing his bidding, letting him pick his matches, getting easy victories. Later, Maria gets concussed, and at the hospital, Edge just happens to have the power of attorney papers with him, and this cracked me up, I won't even lie. Later, Maria finds out how she got concussed and turns on Edge, so she books a steel cage match for Mania. It's a banger, and as we are about to escape, it's a swerve, bro! And Maria turns heel and helps Edge win. Real quick, I'd like to take a look at the banger soundtrack, because unfortunately, this was the last game until 2K15 to have a licensed soundtrack. So, here you go, here's some of my favorite tracks from the game.
It's just another war, just another family torn from my feet today. Just a step on the edge, just another day in the world we live. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero to save me. I need a hero to save my life. A hero will save me. You never see the things that I've seen bottled up inside. This time I'm taking back my life. The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it.
Now, one last thing before we go. I briefly want to touch on the story designer. See, when I made my 2K25 wishlist video, I got a lot of comments about Story Designer, and I had messed with it in 2K14, but I never really learned how to use it. I did screw around with it. I didn't record it, sadly, but I was screwing around with it when I was playing 2010, and I can see why it could come back. And for people who make 2K shows or colleagues, if you know what those are, I could see why this would be helpful to them. So, yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on Story Designer, because I know if I didn't, people would crucify me in the comments. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. We're now on the last SmackDown vs. Raw game, 2011. My favorite wrestling game of all time, so you know I'm going to put it over big time. Can't wait for you guys to see that video. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace. I'm out. They say that all good things must come to an end, and for SmackDown vs. Raw, it did in the form of 2011. 2011 is my favorite wrestling game of all time, so let's see how it holds up in 2025. SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is one of those wrestling games that you can play for a long ass time and never get bored. It's very fun and addicting. See, it added a new physics system that now, for example, when you slam your opponent onto a ladder or any kind of foreign object, rather than them just not reacting to it, they'll actually react to it and sell it, which is really cool. Same with the tables, you don't need a dedicated table move anymore to break it. Any move is capable of putting your opponent through a table. What's also cool is that it can break in any way and position, so say I put the table on the ropes or the apron, it'll still break all the same, which is really cool. I find that this change makes a lot of the more no DQ oriented matches more fun and chaotic, which is always a good thing for me in my wrestling games. I like chaos and fun. Getting the complaints out of the way, I only really have two, and that's the fact that for some dumbass reason they decided to remove the soundtrack, which I don't understand why they would do that, because the soundtrack was one of the best parts of this game series. I assume it came down to licensing, but I don't see why when all the previous games had soundtracks. And this would be the last WWE game to have a licensed soundtrack until 2K15. And my other complaint is the fact that the DLC has been scrubbed off almost every digital storefront. I believe that the DLC is still available in like Hong Kong or Japan somewhere. I heard that rumor a long time ago. I don't know if that's true or not. But most of the DLC has been scrubbed off almost every digital storefront. And plus, you need the dumbass online pass to get it anyway. I hate the online pass era with every fiber of my being. It stopped a lot of people from getting DLC like Lex Luger or the Nexus, which was really cool additions at the time, especially the Nexus, because this was the year that they debuted and were really white hot. I'm so glad that the online pass era is behind us, and that shit like this doesn't happen anymore. Now that my complaints are all out of the way, let's talk about the good stuff about this game. The biggest new addition, arguably in the series history, is the Universe mode. It debuted here, and it's lasted ever since. Even today, 2K25, Universe mode has still been in these games, which is amazing to me. See, this is before it became overly complicated to set up, and it's really simple here. It's cool too, because at first, all the arenas are locked, so how do you unlock them? Easy. Just play a match in Universe mode. It's that easy, which is really cool to me, because it's not overcomplicated to unlock things in this game. Universe mode would go on, like I said, to be one of the biggest game modes in franchise history, and this is where it all started. Personally, the best Universe mode for me was WWE 12, which is how unique and crazy it is, but 2011's is still unique in its own way. See, sometimes before a match, maybe your opponent will jump you, or your rival will get front row tickets to the match. The most random, bizarre things can happen, and you never know what's going to occur. Jumping into a match and selecting a character, we get the brand new Mortal Kombat style selection screen. It's very appreciated here, and I think it looks very clean and suits this game, if I'm going to be honest. We also have a bunch of people making their roster debuts. Making their video game debuts are Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Alicia Fox, the New Heart Foundation, Luke Gallows, and Vance Archer, who proceeded to never appear in a WWE game again. This game also has a lot of really cool unlockables. Jimmy Snuka, Jake Roberts, even Rob Van Dam, who was in TNA at the time of this game's release, which is really cool. For the third year in a row, we have another Road to WrestleMania, and there's 5 storylines this time, but did you know that there was a cut 6th one? Yeah, writer Justin Leeper revealed that there was a cut storyline involving The Miz, and WWE themselves cut it. Assholes. Road to WrestleMania gets a big upgrade in the form of the backstage area. It's essentially a fully explorable hub with different locker rooms and superstars you can go talk to, and it's really cool. It does kind of feel like a third-person wrestling game if you really think about it. Now, of course, the current game, WWE 2K25, has a third-person camera, but this was like kind of the first time a wrestling game had done something like this to my knowledge, and it's really cool, actually. Speaking of the storylines, the first one I selected was the Versus Undertaker one. Now, the game allows you to pick from real superstars like Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and John Morrison, but it also lets you select your custom created character, so that's exactly what I did. In my own headcanon, I like to pretend that this is the same call from 2010's Road to WrestleMania just a year later, but I don't know, they never explicitly say that, but that's just my own personal headcanon. But the Versus Undertaker is my favorite in the game. It starts with a tournament, and you take on Randy Orton first, and you beat him. And I learned this recently, which is cool. If you go to talk to him after the match, he'll actually attack you, and you get into a backstage brawl with Randy Orton, which I think is a really cool Easter egg that I never knew about. But pretty much you just win the right to take on Undertaker at WrestleMania, and he just doesn't take well to it. He attacks you, he plays mind games. There's one time when you get to the arena, the entire backstage has been like Undertaker-fied. I won't even lie, this scared the hell out of me as a kid, but now I think it's awesome. Paul Bearer even shows up, and it's funny because your character can see Paul Bearer, we the audience can see Paul Bearer, but everybody else can't see Paul Bearer.
You lost your mind, dude. You know that, right?
He has to compete in some matches against former WrestleMania opponents of The Undertaker, and then eventually you get to beat the crap out of him in your locker room. Only problem is it's got a 2-minute timer, and I failed on 3 attempts because of the timer, so that's nice. But it's fine. WrestleMania comes. It's your boy Undertaker. We tear the house down. It's a 5-star classic. It would have been 7 if it had more super kicks and at the Tokyo Dome, but it's fine, and I break the Undertaker streak. There is an alternate ending if you lose where he turns you into a druid, but I didn't get this ending because I won. But this is my favorite storyline in the game. For the 3rd consecutive year in a row, we have a John Cena Road to WrestleMania. I get he was the face of the company, but Jesus Christ, 3 straight Road to WrestleMania storylines. It's actually a pretty good one. Now, of course, it has to be him feuding Randy Orton, because what else can you do at this point? What's also cool about it, too, is that MVP appears again, and he's involved with another Cena storyline, but he's actually a face this time. Him and Cena are boys. Orton's really good, too. He's his iconic 2010 heel self. But what's really cool is that he actually somehow becomes the Raw GM, and he makes Cena compete in those outrageous matches. Something that caught my attention when playing this was that they actually mentioned the Better Than Utopia rules from 2009. They directly reference it too, so it's like, okay, this is the same continuity. This is the same universe that takes place in, which is really cool. He even frames Cena to make him look like the bad guy. Before WrestleMania, Orton makes Cena MVP compete in a match, and later he tells them to grab a steel chair and smack the other with it. Now, the game instructs you to do it, but you actually don't have to. You don't have to grab the chair, and the AI will actually do it for you. So, for me, MVP smacks Cena with the chair. Cena forces Randy Orton to let him in the title match, and we get to Mania, and of course, lol, Cena wins. Since returning to the company the prior year, Christian gets his own Road to WrestleMania storyline. It starts out with him being ECW champion, carrying ECW on his back, which was funny because by the time this game came out, ECW was actually dead as a company. Teddy Long ends up making a trade to get Christian on SmackDown, and once that happened, it pretty much becomes an Edge and Christian reunion. With the music, the crowd entrance, the goggles, everything. Christian wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and has the option to cash in on either Edge or Shawn Michaels. I chose Shawn Michaels because I didn't want to be a heel. And me and Shawn have a TLC match at Mania and tear the house down. Rey Mysterio's story starts with his car literally getting T-boned. And Rey is done. He's clapped. He's got amnesia and GG's for everybody. And all of a sudden, Jack Swagger becomes Rey's best friend, and they just run roughshod on SmackDown. Rey has officially lost his innocence. Now Swagger and Rey are boys. They go full situation and Ronnie being dicks at the club, and it's great. And everybody tries to tell Rey that Jack is using him. Eventually, Rey gets put into a fatal 4-way ladder match for the contract of a title match. Rey wins, and then Evan Bourne reveals the truth. And the game will actually let you choose to forgive Jack. Like, what the hell is that about? Why would you forgive someone who T-boned you? I've been through enough heel turns recently, so nah, fam. Later, we need to compete in a tag match, and who does Rey ask to be his partner? Mr. 420 Rob Van Dam. I still think it's really cool that they included him in this game when he wasn't under contract. Rey makes it to Mania and becomes world champion once again. Last, but certainly not least, we have the second Chris Jericho story. This one's really cool because you're the heel, you're not the babyface. And unlike SVR 2009, this is Suit Jericho. A lot of things go down here, from Jericho winning the US title and beating up the Big Show, or just straight up stealing the WWE title. And Triple H won't give him a title shot, and even putting Hunter through the Jarrettron 5000. It's a really cool storyline, like Jericho being heel and just being that slimy scumbag heel he was from 08 to 2010 is really cool to see here. It ends in a giant Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, and this might be my second favorite storyline in the entire game. Overall, man, this game was just fun. I love this game to death, and just me personally, I think this is the best SmackDown vs. Raw title. What a great way to end a series of games. From 2004 to 2010, this series entertained countless gamers and wrestling fans, and many people still want it back. So in conclusion, I believe that SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is the best in the series. It's been fun to look back at every single SmackDown vs. Raw game.